rookies with a special live presentation at the Koval Distillery in Chicago, Illinois, located at 5121 North Ravenswood.
Yes. And with us today is the owner and founder, president of Koval Distilleries, and that is Sonnet Biernicker-Hart.
Got it.
All right.
Thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thank you guys for being here. I'm so glad to have you.
So how long has Koval been in Chicago?
We've been in operation since 2008. We were the first distillery to open in Chicago, actually since recordable history. Chicago was a big booze town, but it was actually a big distribution booze town, not as much a big manufacturing booze town, so we'd get it up the river or, by a ship that would sort of pass it off, I guess, on the shores of Lake Michigan. But there was one distillery that we found in Chicago in the mid-1800s, and they went out of business because they didn't pay their taxes.
Oh.
So we're
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned. There you go. We pay our taxes every penny.
You got that?
Yeah. Just to be clear. Yes.
And so you've been. What would you say is your main focus as far as the whiskeys are?
Well, the main focus of our whiskeys, and we're so into whiskeys, we made I think over 15 of them. But our focus is really on rye, and then we are working on a 4-grain, which has become one of our focal points, and bourbon, which is right now my focal point. So.
Why is that your focal point? Why
Because I like it so much.
So what are the differences between like the whiskey versus bourbon and?
Well, bourbon in America needs to be 51% corn. So our bourbon is 51% corn, but we decided to mix it up a bit. We like doing things that are a bit out of the ordinary as long as they taste great. And that is that our bourbon is a mixture of millet and corn. So we're the only bourbon on the market that has that mash bill. Most bourbons tend to be corn and barley, or corn and rye, or corn and wheat, or a combination thereof. And so millet is really sort of off the beaten track.
What about the flavor of millet would you say, how would you qualify that taste?
I would say it gives a natural earthiness, but almost sort of a vanilla quality that is natural. When we mash millet here, it actually looks like vanilla frosting, and it's very naturally sweet, but not in the way that corn is sweet. There's sort of different kinds of sweetness, and I would say it's more of in a vanilla direction of sweetness. It has a really interesting sort of mouthfeel and character to it. Not too sharp, so it's a very smooth grain when we distill it, and when the distillate comes out, we make a white millet. We also make a 100% millet whiskey that we age in barrels, and we sort of talk about the millet as being sort of a gateway whiskey. It's very easy to drink, very sippable, and then that in conjunction with the corn, which is just anything corn is good.
So here's a question: have you ever frosted a cupcake with the ground millet?
We have not, but I would imagine
to-do list.
If you add butter and sugar, I'm sure it would be delicious.
Also, I wanted to interject that one time I went to a barbecue and I had a meal that was 51% corn. All right. It was a joke from like 2 minutes ago, but I had to get it. I'm intrigued by millet just because I like the concept of it, and I think that I like it a lot in a whiskey. But I think that I probably do, but I think my brain thinks that I do just because it sounds cool.
Millet sounds cool. It also looks cool. It looks like little golden beads of just deliciousness. And in fact, millet is one of the most common cereal grains in the world. It is not in America. In America, we use it a lot for birdseed. They're those little beads that you see in your birdseed. So there's some robins out there chowing down on it. But primarily in places like Nepal, it's actually one of the main bases for alcohol. So if you go to Nepal, most of their spirits, their main sort of national spirits, are made out of millet. And that's true in parts of India, and millet is widely eaten in Russia and in parts of Asia and all over Africa. It's a staple grain.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's also gluten-free. So people in America that seek it out tend to do so because they have gluten allergies.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's doing a service to the community.
See, drug monkeys saving lives.
Saving lives.